So welcome everybody to this lunchtime seminar on mapping religious beliefs and practices in contemporary China. My name is Tom Banchoff. I think I know most everyone here from previous events. I'm the director of our Berkley Center for Religion, Peace, and World Affairs. And we're delighted to have our postdoctoral fellow, Dr. He Rong, who will be presenting some of her work and observations on the contemporary situation in China. I thought I'd say a little bit about our program on religion in China and the United States by way of introduction, and then introduce Rong as well. For several years now, we've had a program that seeks to engage dialogue between Americans and Chinese around the role of religion, society, and politics at different levels. And part of that has been a postdoctoral program through which we've been able to reach out every year to Chinese institutions and to identify a leading, a promising, a rising young scholar of religious studies based in China to spend a year here to be in dialogue with us, to work on his or her research, but also to help us build out some online resources we've been developing, bilingual resources in English and Chinese, to help students, citizens, and policymakers make better sense of the very different role of religion in our societies and politics. So that's a little background about our program. Let me say a little bit more about Rong, who comes to us from the Institute of Sociology at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, where she's an expert on the sociology of religion, economic sociology, and classic social theory. She is the author of many papers and articles around these and other themes. I'll just mention a couple. A book, 2009, on Max Weber and the basics of the social sciences. Another book entitled Man and His World, Stories of the History of Ideas. Rong has also been, previous to this appointment as a postdoctoral fellow here, a visiting scholar at Baylor University's Institute for the Study of Religion. So we're delighted to have you here with us this year, Rong, and to have you here with us this afternoon to share with us some of the interesting findings from a national survey a couple of years ago of China that really sheds light on the diversity and complexity of religious beliefs and practices in the country and challenges some of our categories in the United States and Europe for thinking about what religion is and what role it plays in society. So please join me in welcoming He Rong.
First of all, I want to use this opportunity to say thank you to everyone here. Also, I should have a long list of names for people who help me in everyday researchers. So, like Jamie, thank you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Melody, and Erin. She's not here. Oh, yeah. And also my many of my third floor neighbors. I really appreciate the help you gave me. So, my title today. Thank you, Tom, for select this title for my presentation. Actually. Today I want to share some statistical facts of a survey conducted in 2007 in China. So I want to use these data to build scenarios of Chinese religions, especially from the perspective of the believers. And at the same time, I want to go beyond this. So this should be a process of constructing and also destruction. So I wish you won't be confused. This is the survey, some technical details of the survey. The name of the survey is Spiritual Life Study of Chinese Residents. So this is a national survey. It's very I think at the same year, I think in China we have maybe 3 surveys, but this one, I'm sure this one is the, in quality, this one is the best. The sample size is 7,021, and from the lines below, you should know some of the details. And all in all, from the social scientific critique, this one is can boast it to be a good one. And but beside this, why this one, this survey is important, I think we should go beyond this technical ones, because the study of Chinese religion, there used to be many sinologists, anthropologists, and historians and theologians who have done very good research on China, on Chinese religion. But basically, this kind of research are sort of area study, and from those, although they are prominent products, that from this, I can tell, maybe because I'm kind of sensitive, I can tell the assumption latent in those studies is China is always an exception. All China is so different. So being a Chinese can explain everything. So I think it doesn't make sense. But from the perspective of sociology of religion, in the last couple of decades, there has approach like scientific study of sociology of religion. So this survey is conducted under another assumption that religious behavior or religious choice is a kind of rational choice. This assumption is from economics, and also I share this assumption. So on the basic framework of this survey will use a lot of American way to do the survey. I'll talk it later. And the questionnaire have 88 items about the religious behavior and belief, all sorts of things. And I think the good thing is, as well as it is scientific, it is also resourceful, including many Chinese beliefs and items. So that's something beyond the technical aspects. And for U.S. Survey on religion, I think 4 layers will be the most typical items, like religious affiliation, religious belief, and certain religious behavior, like certain social or political issues. So that's different layers. So a white male Baptist live in southern states will be kind of useful in predicting his presidential choices. So so this survey lent this framework into his questionnaire. I'll use the 4 layers to build up the landscapes. of Chinese religion. From this survey, we can see something about religious affiliation. Yeah, non-believers, it's 77.1%. It's the largest portion of the pie, and all the people who claim they have religious affiliation, just maybe 22 or 23%, and among them, the Buddhist is the largest group. It's 18.1%. But in terms of Chinese large population size, so any of the 0.2 or 0.6 percent is means millions or millions of people. So, and we have lots of people who claim that they believe in nothing. So, I think it makes sense. It's kind of common sense in the perception of Chinese. But maybe even the point is, even among the 20% people who claim themselves as believe in something, it's just 9.2% have any conversion ceremonies. So at this time, we should think that should reflect the data more, like the 18.1% of Buddhists, maybe it's not a very concrete religious affiliation. It's kind of cultural identity. And also that means maybe the Chinese religion are very weak in organization. But we should take into account the historical facts here is many of the social ties has been broken by the revolution, by the modernization, like families, like community, like corporations. Because Chinese religion, like Catholics, they are mainly in the northern rural China. And in recent years, although all the Chinese religion has grown very rapidly, but the Catholics is just maybe a little bit growth, but not very much, or even in some place it's dropped down. The number is dropped down. Why? Because the younger people moved to the cities, and they maybe lost the ties to the Catholic Church. So many of the facts should be considered. So this is about the affiliation. And second part, here's some data about the certain religious items. It's not that bad. Like the belief in the existence of God is pretty high. It's 8.8%. And Jesus, 5.5%. And belief in the existence of Buddha is 17.6%, etc. And the last one, the sages. Here, the sages is specifically mean Confucian itself. and also maybe in less extent monastics. And also there's some other items like belief in the existence of heaven, hell, or afterlife, but I don't use those one because in Chinese, we have Chinese version of those items, and we have different ideas of death and life and the other world, so I don't use that one. It means pretty different in China. But from these items, compared to the affiliation items we just saw, the point is like the percentage of belief in the existence of God and Jesus is 0.8 and 8.8 and 5.4. So it's larger. It's the number is much bigger than the affiliation items. So what does that mean? It means that people who do not have any affiliation, any organizational tie with the church, Christian church, they still believe in something like that. And secondly, about the Confucians. They don't think they are Confucians, but they still believe in the existence of sages. And the last one is the something about relevant to Buddhist. So people who said they are Buddhist, some of them maybe do not believe in the existence of Buddha. So it's very it's hard to understand in some way, but it does happen. I want to show you some of the demographic characteristics of the respondents who believe in the existence of karma. Partly because this the belief in karma is the highest percentage in all the religious items. This idea comes from India, with Buddhist monks who came from China centuries ago. And this idea combined with some ancient Chinese idea of the ultimate controlling power in the universe. So after some times of historical changes, belief in karma means in China means kind of causal chain of people's activities. Like good deeds leads to good effect to yourself or to your families. We can see that females are more likely to believe in holding this belief. I think this tendency is almost universal. Like females are always more religious. But in China, maybe the exception is ancestor worship, because many ancestor worships are conducted by males. From the regional disparity, the interesting thing is city residents have a higher percentage in believing karma. So this leads to the social economic data like education. We can see that the believers have more education, maybe they earn more money. So The point in this flash is, in China we have an idea, a Marxist idea, that people who have more education will not be religious people. But this one shows something different. The third one is about religious involvement in the last 12 months. Compared to American, in the U.S. survey, very stubborn data item to show the religiosity is church attendance. But I think the typical church attendance rate is 40%, but that means 40% of American people participate in some church events in the last week. So this here is last year. So the questionnaire has some compromise here, but even during the last year, we can see that about 35.2% of people who've never been to any religious events. So maybe they are really tough guys, but we also see some people will worship in temple, church, mosques. The percentage is 17.4, but I think it matches with the affiliation data. But something is different from the American experience. Here is the temple one, because people go to temple. Some of the very pious people go to temple regularly, like the first day of a month and the 5th day of the month, they will go to temple and worship there. But many people go to the temples just like kind of tourism. So the data itself hides something. And here is the second one, is considered a typical Confucianism practice. Like people go to the grave, they do something like weeping grave to worship their ancestors and burning incense to remember their past, their family members. So this we can see here. Here is what I said, the gender difference. Unluckily, I don't have the percentage of the females and males, but my impression is for males, it's about 60. So many males go to the do something sort of things, although they claim that they don't believe in anything. So that's the point. I think from the former data, we can see that the percentage of people who believe in the existence of ancestral, their spirits of ancestors is 20%. And here we see that in the last year they practiced something like that is 40%. And they claim that they believe in nothing. So it needs more explanation here. The last one is almost 40s, but I think we should remember the number of the non-believers is 77, compared to that number, this one is decreased dramatically. And the fourth layer, I want to use the religious giving as an example of the how religion influence social behavior, something like in the public spheres. As we all know, the religious giving is kind of the positive externality of religiosity. And in the West, in the Christian culture, the religious giving is mainly happened in the congregational religious life, like church. When they attend church, they give. And the other thing is, almost universal, is the small group of people gives the largest amount of money. In China, the first one, like the religious giving, is regarded as the positive externalities of religiosity. Chinese people will accept that religion will promote people, will motivate people to do something good. And the second one, because we don't have the sort of many congregational events, so when do they give? Who gives will be a problem. In China, especially in Buddhist tradition, we have a term 供养. It's provide, subsidize for the monks, for the monasteries, but this kind of personal relationship with certain monks, or it's not a public sphere. It's different. So in this survey, we can see from the ordinary people how often, how much, and under which circumstances they donate. So among the 7,000 people, 20% of them said that they donate in the last year. Among them, 23 females. Females, the percentage of females who donate is 23, and males 18. It's still, if we consider that in China, especially in rural China, females have less control in money issues. So this one is another indicators that females are kind of more religious in China. And 62% of people donate 3 times or below. And in the data, we have a long range of the amount, but 70% is around 100 yuan or below. So the amount, the number is rather low. And only 70.6% people donate regularly. This group may be the closest to the Western experience, and the 30% will make a will and then donate. This, in some anthropological study, will say that, oh, this is a bribery. And the other typical one is donate when traveling. The background of this is still another Buddhist tradition, because many of the Buddhist temple, especially the eminent one, maybe will locate in like a mountainside or something. It's typically a destination for tourism, and the way when people travel, they will donate, they will show some generosity, and also it's 22% donate when solicited. That's the fourth layer of the religious behavior in from this survey. This is just very limited items in this survey, but from this we can find something about Chinese religion. Because for a long time, central topic of many historians and anthropologists, the central topic is, does the country of China religious or not? Are they just worship and make some bribery to the gods or spirits or something like that? I think the first contribution of this survey is it throws that dispute away and shows something something that how do Chinese people do whatever something equivalent or counterpart to the Western Christians. So although they believe in different items in different way, we should tell from this survey that many people practice something religious without consciousness of his believing or his cultural identity or something like that. They won't claim themselves as religious people or member of a religious organization, but they do practice something religious. So I would say that it's a practice without certain affiliation. The second one is, from these items, we should have an idea about the Chinese way of practice, religious practice. The lack of congregational religious life is, at least for the time being, at the most part of the story, we don't have the large amount of Christian, like something like Christian church or something like that. So people who go to temples, who are pious and who donate, but maybe they don't have the organizational mechanism or the group membership or identities. For the study of sociology and religion, I think this means a lot. And the third one is the inclusive attitude toward religious items, different religious items. The basic attitude of common Chinese people is religion is good. Religion will motivate people to do something good, be kind, be mercy. That's the, excuse me, the basic attitude on many religious items. The other thing is, people who do well, that means they may be educated, they may be affluent, tend to believe. This is this will it's different from the Chinese impression because the Marxist way of like say religious as opium. And the next one, this survey, of course, we have many more things beyond these 88 items. But in my point of view, we have four aspects here that is kind of weak in this survey. The first one is the local, the folk religions, especially some local religions, the worships in the local level, the villages in the certain cultural subgroup. One important item is Guanyin. This is a Buddhist Buddha. He comes from India as a male, and gradually it became a female statue. And in Chinese culture, it much like the Virgin Mary, because it symbols kindness, mercy, and also in Chinese culture, it means reproductivity. So people who want a boy or a girl will go to worship and ask from her. In Taiwan, in some Christian church there, they'll have Virgin Mary much like Guanyin, hold a baby. For Chinese people, it's like a new baby in the family. But yeah, it's baby Jesus. But some items is not included in the survey. So the second one is the dynamic between the formal or institutional groups or the informal or diffused religious groups are much neglected. Here, like in contemporary China, many Christian churches combine with the folk religions, and they grow very fast. But this part of the religious groups will not be calculated in the official document, and they'll change a lot in a short period, and they will draw a lot of people. But for this part of the story, we cannot see from here. And the third one is about the China today. We have many like regional disparity. Like the eastern part of China, the middle and the western, they are so different. Like sometimes people from the affluent eastern, western part of China will be like in a foreign country if they move to or travel to the western part. It's not just economic, it's also because of like cultural and language. The other thing is a huge gap between rural and urban China. In this survey, when they conducted the survey, the gap is so huge, so that they have to make the split the data by the rural part and the urban part. So in the statistical way, it has its huge effect when analyzing the data. And the other thing is occupation. I have done some data analysis, and the occupation items never work because it's many confusions in it, and also because migration, the rural laborers move to the urban part of China, and the things are so different. So many of the robust data cannot tell anything. And because this survey is conducted in 2007, so the very important post-2008 era cannot be reflected in this survey. 2008 is very important in Chinese religion and also the public sphere, something like Olympic Games, and especially the Sichuan earthquake. That disaster is for religious group. That disaster is the first time they became visible in organizing donations, reliefs, and many other voluntary work. So 2008 is very important. It's a mark of the Chinese development of Chinese religion, and also their engagement in social issues. After 2008, almost every religion developed very fast. For the Christians, I think the most successful part of the work is the Protestant church. They developed among the most educated people, like university professors and students, and also they go very deep in the common people, the mass. That's what I have said. Christian belief combined with a folk religion practice, and they moved when people migrated. So that's fascinating. And the other thing is Catholic. We have said that especially in the last decade of 20th century, many Catholic church lose their members when migration happened. But for the time being, the most significant things in Catholic Church is many of these churches have engaged in the social service, like some of the hospitals, some of the nursing center, or education. They participate in it and have their prominence there. After 2008, Buddhists developed very fast because as we have shown, they have long time cultural, historical factors in it. And Buddhist has learned some way to do religions from Christians. They have something similar to Bible study groups among university students. And another thing is Tibet Buddhism have some strong links with some Chinese white-collar young professionals. So it's very interesting here. And the other one is Daoism. Daoism has some voices or presence because for the rich people especially, they think it's helpful in seeking for prosperity from longevity or something like that. It's kind of traditional way. And the other thing is Confucianism. This because Confucian themselves has two aspects need to be researched. One is the way of the sages is the model of Chinese intellectuals. This is still true today. So sages means role models for the intellectuals. And today many intellectuals doing something like reflection and be critical to Confucianism, but it's still in the process. The other way is the point of Confucianism as a kind of civil religion. That means Confucian itself has some or have some ambitions in political issues, maybe because in the past Confucianism provides legitimacy to the emperors, select his able officials, and have the national examination for the literati. Today, things have been changed, but as a culture, as cultural resources, Confucianism will have its influence. We'll see. So that's beyond this survey. From these reflections of the data, I think there's two indications to the future study of Chinese religion. One is, although the so-called scientific study of sociology of religion will say that be scientific is so important, but for any religion, for Chinese religion especially, combined interpretation of meaning is also important. It's not just because China is so different, but because any religion is meaning system. So that's the first one. The second one is from this data and from the above analysis, I think a new way to do Chinese to do the study is to develop new paradigms and new index for the future survey. These two aspects will be very important. Okay, that's my presentation. Thank you all.
You raised all kinds of interesting issues with your overview of this fascinating survey, which dates from 2007, and a lot has happened since then, as you suggested, but even as a snapshot of 2007, goes against some of the conventional wisdom about a surge of religion in China since the opening of the late 1970s, the 80s, the 90s, and you've given your own sense of some of the reasons for that discrepancy, having to do with the use of Western concepts, terminologies, the emphasis on beliefs in the survey. But then again, you've shown that at the level of practices as well, it'd be interesting to look at some of the wording of the questions. There's not as much religious activity as we might have expected in this survey. Lots of other things that we could talk about. Rather than give the mic back to you, I want to gather a couple of questions from the audience, and we can see where the conversation takes us. I'd ask you to briefly introduce yourself and pose a question. Maybe we'll collect two or three questions and observations, and then you can respond.
My name is Bill Martucci. I'm a practicing lawyer and also teach a course on multinational business here at Georgetown. I was very thankful for your insights and wanted to ask you at the very end of your comments, you had mentioned perhaps new paradigms, new ways of thinking. Would you be comfortable to share more what you were thinking in that regard? What you were thinking in that regard, what you might have to say with respect to that?
Just two things.
Introduce yourself.
Dennis McNamara, Sociology Department here at Georgetown University. Two things. One, it seems that in Japan and Korea they now have 50 or 60 years on these surveys and very sophisticated study of especially Buddhism and what Confucianism would mean in that spectrum between sort of a social ethic, a custom, and perhaps a religion. It would. Now I realize that when you're doing a survey in China, there's a lot of factors involved in terms of the way the government and other organizations take part in it, but it does seem that there could be a lot more substantive work if there was a recognition of this comparative utility and some of the methodology in particular that's been done. But a second point, as you know, I live in Beijing, and my feeling is there really isn't much religious sensitivity, certainly with the academics, most of whom are your friends as well. There doesn't seem to be a lot of religious sensitivity. There is some interest in sort of being cosmopolitan, and I think that's part of being Protestant or in perhaps some of the Western religions. But there's this tremendous engagement with luck. People are just all the way down to wearing red. If your zodiac year is this year, you have to wear red to somehow keep the demons away. I'm just wondering, is there some point at which this tremendous engagement with fate, Ming, or with luck, somehow bridges into a religious sensitivity? In the West, I think we contrast superstition and religious belief, and that's clearly a simplistic thing. My friends in China, when I ask them about the way they're dealing with luck, they say, well, that's not superstition, that's Chinese. So there's a third category that I don't have, and maybe that would be a question. I'm sorry I went a little long.
I'm Karen Barnes, and I've been teaching at Beida for a couple of years. And I noticed you list the 5 major religions and people with no belief, but you didn't make any distinction between the aspects of religion or the people who are involved in religion and in registered or official or recognized churches and so on, and those in the informal churches or the house churches. I wonder if you could tell, or whether people talked to you about that when you did your survey.
So, would you like to?
Okay. Thank you. I will try to answer according to my own understanding. But the first one is about any possible new paradigm. I wanted to. I think the old paradigm, like the institutional and diffuse religions, and also some other things like Max Weber's, they all have their own insight and the prominence. I really enjoyed those works. But for the time being, I think some new paradigms are needed. It's because China has been changed a lot. So, like the 5 religions, we all see that it's officially controlled or officially recognized. But from Professor Casanova's class, we can know that the formation of world religions is a historical process. So in China, I think the study of the religious life or certain religions, we need to take some effort to fit into the religion itself. Like, what is the Confucianism mean for Chinese people? I think it's after May 4th in 1990. The young intellectuals broke everything. We don't have emperors anymore. We don't have the national examination for the officials after 1905, even before that. We said that every religion, almost all religions are superstitions. China is civilized because it doesn't have any religion or superstitions. Some Hu Shi, the Chinese scholar, said so. So for the time being, I think some of the religious the phenomena need the new paradigm, like Confucianism. How can we define Confucianism without emperor, without literati, without the contrast or the coexistence of the elite or the masses, because they all educated, all on the way to be educated. And also, like the Christian beliefs has go deep into the common people. In this way, I want to, from my personal experience, this is fascinating. Like the Oriental lightnings in the rural China, they grew very.
Lightings?
Yeah, Oriental lighting.
Oriental lightings?
Lighting, yeah, in the sky.
Oriental writing.
Writing.
Lighting?
Lighting. No, in the sky? You mean some kind of display of lights?
Yeah.
In the sky?
Yeah.
Okay.
They are cults. They are not permitted officially, but they are just some folk religion getting into the Christian cloaks or something like that. But this, I mean, for the study, this will be meaningful. So I mean, the paradigm is needed both for historical facts, also both from the contemporary phenomena. For the second question, thank you. In the Eastern Asia, both Japan and Korea has their own survey in religion, and also in Taiwan, the 2004 survey, kind of like GSS, is focused on religion and beliefs. So this is a good way to do some comparative studies. And also some of my colleagues have done some comparative studies already. Yes, that's a good way. And also for the methodological reflections, this is important. About the third category, beyond religion or superstitions.
Fortune, fate.
I think yes, you observe a lot. And for this part, I would like to use Max Weber's his article about magic or something. Maybe it's not the best word for that, but yeah, for magician or for people who believe in magic, there's some technical thing for you that if you do it, maybe nothing happens. But if you don't do it, it'll make you get into troubles. So for this part, many people do that just because maybe his families or it's kind of the social pressures. He recognized that, he did that, so he did that. And
so there's no belief in a higher power that's determining outcomes. It's more of a reflex, a learned cultural norm. You wouldn't see it as related to a religious impulse. Yeah.
So many people, like just like females are religious, many males will say that it's nonsense. That's and also in the survey we do have some questions about the do you wear something, do you buy something. I call that religious consumption. It's like if you have Bibles or some sermons, something like a small thing in your car, it's religious consumption. But I don't introduce that here. So maybe. And also about the registered or official churches or religious groups. I think in this survey we don't do that. We don't recognize if whether or not you are registered a member of the official religious group, because I think many people when it tends to be protective strategy when do the set up the question, but also because we use a loose one to measure a self-claimed religious identity. So people who claim that I am a Buddhist or something else will regard himself as sort of things. So that's why I used 9.2% to indicate that many people who self-claim is religious people, actually they maybe not.
Good. Let's take a couple more questions. Jose?
Well, I'm very sorry I came late.
Thank you.
I was teaching, so I missed everything. I missed even the context of the survey. I don't know which survey, so I have to learn. I didn't get the data. I only came to number 4, so I'm missing all the data. So it's not a question as much as a comment on the 2 final indications, the need for new paradigms, and the need to combine meaning of, or a meaning analysis and measuring of religion. Any survey is only a static snapshot, obviously. So the question is, you say after, we know that things have changed post-2008. We know that 2007, also things had changed a lot since 1980, if you wish. So only by having these surveys, longitudinal analysis, we can see to which extent it's a static field or relatively dynamic and changing field. I think that everything indicates that the religious field in China today is a very dynamic, changing field, despite the fact that, yes, among elites you have this still entrenched notion of rationality and getting rid of this feudal superstition, and yet underneath there is still this other Chinese lack. But the point I'm trying to make is that we have so many new works that to a certain extent already are doing what you claim that we should be doing. I mean, two very important books that came out last year. Feng and Yang, which despite the fact that only expands the notion of religious economy from the American models of religious economies, but again, in a very, very creative way, different types of free economies, not only free market economies, but the type of regulated economies using from the socialist economies, the model. So you have already an attempt to go beyond standard models and to apply it to a very different Chinese situation. This is one. But much more important is, of course, the one that does precisely what you are trying to say that we should do, measuring and meaning, anthropological attempts. The book by Vince Gossard and David Palmer, The Religious Question in Modern China, is, in my view, an extremely, extremely important work, not only because it takes the whole 20th century perspective of transformation, but because also it links to the different changing mainland China, Taiwan, Singapore, and the Chinese diasporas. And so you can see precisely in this respect the different dynamics of the different questions. And it doesn't take for granted what religion is, but it challenges what the religious feel and how it is constituted in China. So I think that's precisely the point that you are making, that we cannot simply bring the categories. So I think that what we can say for clear is that this survey probably indicates something which is there, but in terms of the dynamic, what do you think the dynamic is? Not what this survey says, but at which point of a dynamic this survey is. From where to where? If we are going, or is it a relatively stable situation? You mentioned the change in post-2008. To which extent 2007 changed from what? Can you give us a sense of the dynamic of the transforming Chinese field?
Jose doesn't want to give up the microphone. So maybe I'll piggyback with a more specific question that's related, and maybe this will be the last formal question, and after your responses we can have more informal conversation with those who'd like to stick around. I was most intrigued by the statistics about ancestor worship or grave weeping, or indicators of the strong sense of family in Chinese culture and tradition, which some link back to Confucianism, but it has complex roots. I was surprised at the relatively low numbers there. I would have thought that the ideal of family and the importance of the extended family across generations, even to the dead, is something that's still very firmly rooted in China. So could you say a little bit about what we know about practices of ancestor worship and trends in that direction, and whether you think that's a religious category or is related back a little bit to our earlier discussion about a cultural pattern rather than a religious one? So, two small questions to finish with.
Oh, two tough ones. About Feng Gang, he's also participated in this survey, so he knows everything about this survey. And these two scholars, I know them personally, so maybe just because of this, I neglected them. But yes, in another occasions, maybe we should talk about their studies in Chinese religions. If my understanding is correct, that you want to know the dynamic of the changes in religion after 2008, is that?
What's your
No,
prediction?
what I'm saying is that it's not only that there is a dynamic, you presuppose change post-2008, I presuppose change before 2007. So this survey stands at a static moment of a change going from where to where? What will be your interpretation of to which extent is a static thing that continues, to which extent you think it's a very particular moment in a transforming field?
I think the good side of this survey is it shows kind of stable patterns in the religious practice and beliefs. So I want to show the pattern of the beliefs and practice. And what I said, the changes after 2008 is mainly the numbers maybe changed, but some of the patterns it's still there. And some new one, like what they'll develop, in which direction it will develop. I think it depends. It needs some study from certain groups, some certain religious groups like Christians. We still need that categories, and we need a grasp of Chinese culture and history. And in my point of view, people have complicated views on religions in China today. On the one hand, is what I said. People will say that, religion will make people do good things. On the other hand, the superstition, or if you've been too much pious or believe too much, then maybe you'll do something crazy. That's another. That's another way. And also, actually, I feel it's very interesting is on the official side, the Sarah has
State Administration for Religious Affairs.
Yes, they have their own preference to certain religions. And for the mass, for the common people, they have some latent standard for the the leader of the religions. Like if Buddhist monks are corrupted, they will be they'll become a talking will be how to put that. Anyway, the
You couldn't help with the Chinese. Is there a phrase that you
With the talking monk, they'll accuse him of corruption, and then he loses any credibility with his religious group, and in that way they get their friends back into power.
Yes, that's true. I mean, for many Buddhist sects, and they actually practice different. Like Tibetan monks will eat meat. That's different from the Han monks. And among the Han monks, some of them will do something like very ascetic. They'll live a very simple and simple life. And for other monks, like Shaolin, you know that the monks are very active in social issues. They are not everything is good. So for the common people, the ordinary people, the religion in the public spheres have complicated images. So what will happen? Sometimes the direction is hard to predict. But I think the the Marxist way of thinking religion as an opium is not that popular today. So, about the ancestor worship, personally, I don't like the ancestor worship the way say that. It's kind of observe the some at certain occasion. It's to remember the family lineage, the family tradition, also a family reunion in China. The lower percentage in practicing weeping graves or burning incense is because of modernization, urbanization, and migration, all these things. But we do have some twist, some 变通, some changes in observing the ancestor of the family members. Like in the Spring Festival, people live in big cities, far away from their homeland, will burning some paper money or something in the crossroads spots. It's not included in the survey, but we do that. So, yeah, it's still a persistent practice today.
Do you consider that a cultural rather than a religious practice, or it's somehow both?
I think both.
Both.
For sometimes, like 清明节last week, the what's the name for that?
Chinese Valentine's Day.
Yeah. In the Chinese way, it's a very important day in the Confucianism, but also it's kind of like a field trip for the families. And it's a family reunion. It's an important time, but it's both.
Right. Okay, well, thank you very much. There's lots more we could talk about. It's been delightful having you here at the center, and you'll be with us a few more months so we can continue these conversations. Please join me in thanking Rong for her presentation.
Thank you.